So I've been asked to show how we do our tall live stakes. So this guy right here, that's an 8-foot tall willow cutting. And we use these in a lot of our riparian buffer projects. We do them on our silvopasture projects as well, but they tend to be bigger. About 10 foot tall is our standard there. And we'll go all the way up to 15 feet tall. We've done those on a lot of projects. We've done some experimental ones at like 25 feet tall just for playing around. But for our riparian buffer projects, 8 foot is ideal. It gets us enough height that we get above deer browse, and it's fairly easy to move around the site. If I was in a stand of phragmites or something else that's really, really tall, I might go with something that's more like 10, 12 feet tall. And we've had some good experience so far being able to get one of these tall live stakes in to outcompete phragmites. So what we use is we just have these tall live stakes. Let me show you some of the trees that we're growing. So this is our block of cottonwoods that we're growing for this purpose. So we're custom, everything is managed for a tall and straight live stake. If you have a lot of bends, if you have a lot of branching, obviously we can prune off the branching. If you have a lot of bends, the wraps don't fit very well. It's also just a little bit harder to manage. So having a nice tall straight stem is what we're after. Now these were planted this spring as smaller bare root stock, and they put on a lot of growth. So we've got some in there that are about 10 feet tall. And what we'll do is this winter we'll cut them back to the base, we'll let them resprout, and all of those stems resprouting will push, we'll have them grow tall and straight as they compete for sunlight. So we started off with these beds, and then we actually decided to double the width of the bed. So we tilled this up and put wood chips down. And then once it really gets to be dormant season, we'll take material from here and from wherever else we need to, and we'll just plug live stakes right into this. We'll do shorter live stakes in this case because it's just for propagation, and there's no deer in this spot. And then we did the same over here. We tilled it up, we put wood chips down, and we have a whole bunch of blocks, as you can see. So what we'll do is we'll just take a whole block at once, cut the whole thing down so that the whole thing can then resprout. Because we found that if you take trees here and there and you're asking them to resprout and they still have trees around them that are of size, then they are going to get outcompeted for sunlight. So anyway, that's how we're doing the growing side of things. We've got cottonwoods, we've got black willows, we've got over there you can see the red of some red dogwoods, we've got arrowwoods, quite a few species here. And then when it comes time to doing the planting, what we use here is we have this custom made dibble bar, not your typical dibble bar with a wider shoe on it, but it has this one has a rebar, just a rebar stake that's been welded together. I think this was one of our very first experimental ones, and the ones that we've done since that we've had made for us, they don't have these ribs, so it's a smooth material, and that's better because these ribs do tend to get stuck in the ground as you're pulling up. So a smooth dibble is better. It's kind of like a big pogo stick. So you make a hole with that. You don't want it to be much bigger than the live stake itself, so you get a nice tight connection. And then what we do is we put the live stake in. It doesn't need to be all that deep. 12 inches is plenty, again, because you're not disturbing a large area. It's fairly tight, and the stake holds well. And then you use that wrap. So Plantra is the company that we buy a lot of our tree shelters from, and they make these wraps. This one's a 43-inch version. And that's what I would go for. There's also these vinyl spiral guards that are meant to protect against buck rub. You can get those from a whole bunch of different places. That would be another option, especially if you have something more like this, where you have a lot of curve to the stem. Those vinyl spiral guards are going to wrap around that stem better than this mesh material. But in this case, you're able to save just so much money compared to the normal way of establishing a seedling, because you don't have to buy a stake. Your live stake is the stake. Instead of having to have a larger plastic tube, you've got the mesh wrap, and your materials don't cost all that much, especially if you can grow them yourself. And the labor, it takes about half the time to plant one of these and put the wrap on than it does to plant a standard seedling and put the shelter together and pound in the stake and all those things. So it's really a big upgrade for riparian buffer plantings. It allows you to get tall trees in the ground. And I would do this in anything in, let's say, a moderately well-drained soils all the way to wet. We're standing right here in a normal field. This has been in a variety of crops or hay, and our cottonwoods are doing great. We have willows even further up the hill, and they're doing fine. They're wood chipped, so we're keeping the moisture in the ground really nicely for them. And we've had good experience with these in riparian buffers and even in upland with our silvopasture projects. So they're quite versatile. Obviously, you'll want more than just willows and poplars or cottonwoods and other live stake species. You want a little bit more diversity than that, but this allows you to get a lot of mass of trees that are going to get established a lot faster than your seedlings. And then you have more budget left over for the other stuff. So that is what we're doing on establishing native tall live stakes in riparian buffers.